Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Step Into Me. This is the show where we explore what it truly means to find the courage to be true to yourself. And today's guest is the perfect example of that. I've known Mark Jensen for almost 30 years. He is quite an Aussie character. You are in for a treat. When we met, Mark was an actor. He was playing the lead in a production of the Aussie theatre classic Don's Party. He's appeared on All Saints, featured on ads for the Sydney Olympics. He was a contestant on The Mole, even had a part in a Bollywood movie. And he had a day job too, working as part of the breakfast team of a Sydney radio show. Well, like most people, Mark had career aspirations and thought he was on the right path. That was until a friend handed him a copy of The Secret, the Law of Attraction documentary that had everyone talking.
It is the most amazing thing that you are being the billionaire lifestyle on absolutely not a billionaire's budget.
If you have ever imagined giving up your day job to live your dream life, this episode is for you. So grab a cup of tea, settle in and join us as we chart a course with my good friend Mark Jensen, who'll be chatting to us via satellite phone. This episode is From the Secret to the Sea, when intention sets sail. Have you ever imagined what it would be like to leave your job behind and set sail to travel the world? Well, picture this. It's 2007. You're sitting in your living room, skeptical, maybe even a little cynical. A friend has given you a copy of The Secret video. You pop it in the machine and press play, expecting very little. But then a single sentence changes everything.
Well, that was really an interesting moment of my life. I really don't like self-help books or self-help ideas, and these books are written by somebody who's trying to make money, and they have one kernel of truth, but it's always it's the way through. So when this friend gave me this video to watch, I only watched it to be able to prove my point. And anyway, at minute 57, they popped the kernel of truth out. And that's the one that said all of the goals that I've been working on. I've been goal setting for work and trying to do this and trying to do that. And that's what I've been doing, is working as an actor. But this kernel of truth said, that's wrong. Goals have got to be about me and my life. So if money was no object, if you had plenty of money and you didn't have to work, what would you do? And I'd always dreamt someday I'd sail around the world. I could sail since I was a kid, but it had never been a thing. And so this video said, set a goal for your life about you and put it on a bit of paper and put a date with it. So I got put out a piece of paper that said, want to sail around the world. How much is it going to cost? I said, buy a boat, $1 million. Budget each month to do this much shopping, this much staying in a marina, and all that sort of stuff. So I put a date of 12 months just as a joke. And that date was the 4th of February. And I stuck this piece of paper on my desk in front of me. And then every couple of days for the first few days, I thought, oh, I forgot about that. That's another $1,000 a month. The figures were realistic, but really stupidly high. And anyway, after a couple of weeks, I just looked at the page and I thought, well, I don't need that. And I just crossed it out. I remember what the line was. I'd said that once a month you've got to go to a resort hotel to have a proper wash, proper shower, proper relax, proper beer, proper food. And I just thought, you don't need that. If you want to go for a swim in a swimming pool, you just jump over the side of the boat and swim around the boat. And then as the weeks went by, I just kept on crossing more things out or adjusting them. I thought, well, I don't need that much money. Clothing, 2 pairs of shorts and 2 T-shirts for the next year. That's fine. So it started getting to a point where some of the numbers were getting realistic, but I still got to be able to afford it. I did have an apartment, but that wasn't really good to rent out. And so I had to change that to one that could be rented out. Anyway, it was coming up to that 12 months. So I booked an air ticket out of Australia because the boat prices in Australia were too expensive. And so I'd been doing a bit of research around the world. America's got some pretty cheap boat prices. So I flew over there, 2 suitcases, drove around the east coast of the US looking for a boat. They were all overpriced there. Went down to the Caribbean, found one, jumped on the boat, and there I was a year later, sitting on the boat. It was 1 year and 1 month or something since I'd watched this video, and it all came true. And it was just because I changed goals from somebody else's goal of what job are you going to be doing to what goal do I want for my life? And that's it.
But that was also your dad's life goal too, wasn't it? And his story is quite a sad one, isn't it?
Oh, Belinda, that you remember this is really amazing because I haven't told you this story for a decade. So that
Long
you
time.
remember that it's is really important because my dad died at 65 and I'm 65 now. And when this happened was 17 years ago, 2008. And I thought a lot of male deaths are hereditary. He has a heart problem. I'm going to get a heart problem. So I thought any time I've got is only to 65. Now, he'd been sailing all his life. And we sailed together, raced together on his boat when I was a little kid. And then I went off racing on other boats. And he kept on sailing and racing. And he retired. And he was waiting for the 6 months for mum to retire. And then they were going to go cruising up and down the east coast of Australia. And anyway, while Dad was waiting for Mum to retire, he died, had a heart attack. So, you know, I mean, there's so many things in there. Hey, don't wait 6 months for somebody. Just go yourself. She could have caught up with him somewhere up the coast or whatever. The last couple of years of his work, even though he was a very senior engineer, the young guns were getting all the good jobs, all this sort of stuff. So, yeah, with Dad did teach me a lot, with his death. And now I'm at his age. I'm fully fit. Man, I go to the gym whenever we're in a port with a gym because, yes, it's prescient. It's a weird feeling.
And really, it's in that nutshell with your dad's story is the whole point, really, of what you've done because so many people wait until they're retired. I think some people don't realize that you can do that with very small amount of money.
A very small amount of money. But the thing is, we've probably been in a similar situation before when we bought something big. When you bought your first house or something like that, that first year is a killer. Where does all this other money go to? All the money you didn't budget because you didn't know existed, all of a sudden you've got to buy furniture. It was fine sitting on the carpet for the first week, but then you had to go and buy a washing machine and oven and a stove and all this garbage, and you've got no money. It happened to us a few times in your life. And you remember it when you really don't have any money. Well, the first year of sailing on this boat, and I thought my budget after looking at that budget page for a year was good. But each month when I'd get my cash, I'd get it in cash. And I had these envelopes on the desk, on the navigation station where I'm sitting right now talking to you. And on each envelope, I put the money. So if it was like, oh, this is going to be customs and immigration and harbour fees in this envelope, and this envelope here is going to be for boat maintenance, and you put all the money in each of the different envelopes and label the envelopes. And the envelope on the far right hand side, that was any leftovers went into that envelope on the far right hand side. And that envelope was slim. Like you couldn't iron an envelope any slimmer than that envelope. And written on that envelope was one big word: food.
Right.
It's that tough. People go, oh, Mark, you're living the life of a dream. And I say to them, well, you give up your high paying job, lose all your friends because you're sailing away from them. It's not the bed of roses to begin with, especially. It's really tough, but you got to do it.
You're a bit like the crocodile Dundee of the ocean, aren't you? You see hurdles and barriers and obstacles and you just barge your way through them. Like you find a way, don't you?
Yeah, look, I think that's really important because the world puts a barrier in front of you or a hurdle, but you've got to get over the hurdle. Nothing good comes from not getting over the hurdle. So if you imagine something simplistic, going to the supermarket to buy a good, healthy chunk of beef at a low price. So you go into the supermarket. Now, it's not there showing you, oh, this is the piece of good beef that's on sale. You've got to find it. You've got to go through every other piece of meat. You've got to go through the lamb, the pork, the chicken, the this, the that, and the other. You've got to jump all these hurdles, and then you've got to find where the one is that's on special. And that's like jumping a little hurdle. Everything that happens on this boat is a hurdle. So, there was this saying, I stole this from somebody who says, everything you want is on the other side of slaying dragons. I've got to do it. I've got to slay the dragons. I've got to get over the hurdles. I've got to do it, and I've got to expect the hurdle is going to be there, because I tell you what, every time I try and do something, you bump into another hurdle.
Well, forget about dragons. You've actually had an encounter with pirates as well, haven't you?
That was really bizarre. So in the Gulf of Aden, when we went through, was just when the Chandlers, this couple who were on a sailing boat, had been abducted and were hostage. So a group of us tried to go through in a flotilla of 26 boats in a grid, because we thought, oh, you be together with everybody, you're going to be safer. We were going down the Gulf of Aden, and they wanted to drop into Aden, the city in Yemen. And I'm going, are you guys crazy? I mean, Minister of something had just been assassinated the week before there. I'm going, I'm not stopping there. So we left the flotilla, we left the other 25 boats, and went and did the last bits ourselves. And what the pirates do is they come between sunset and when it's dark. So they've got about 20 minutes to get to you where they can attack you, and then they've got darkness to be able to do whatever they want. In that moment, there was this yelling on the two-way radio, and it was a container ship, and the container ship was coming up behind us, and the captain was panicking. You've never heard a captain on a huge container ship panicking, and he was coming up on our port side, and he was saying, these pirates are on my port side. So they were on the other side of the container ship than us. So it went, from right to left was us, and then the container ship, and then the pirate boat. And I could see with my binoculars as the ship came past us, he was going flat out. I've never seen a container ship go this fast. He was pedal to the metal, I'll tell you what. He went straight past us, and right behind him, and I could see with the binoculars, and then I didn't have to see with the binoculars because we were right there. You see the huge back of the container ship and this tiny little boat with about 6 or 8 people with machine guns on it. And they were all looking up at the back of the ship to work out how to get onto the ship. And because they were looking at the ship, they weren't looking at me.
Mm.
So I spun the wheel, turned around, hit the throttle, went the opposite direction. While they were still looking at the ship, I disappeared into the darkness. Otherwise, if they had seen us, we were a much easier target. So yeah, it was amazing.
Were you with Marjorie at this point? Because you've found love on your travels as well, haven't you?
Ah, yes, yes. So there's 2 parts of my life. There's BM and AM. So BM is before Marjorie,
Right.
and now I'm in bliss. I'm in AM bliss. So I went into Cherbourg in France, which folks will know because it's in Normandy where the D-Day beaches are. And in some parts of France, not many people speak English. So they had this group that met at the bar once a week called the Cherbourg English Cafe. And I met everybody who spoke English in town. And anyway, Marjorie and I were introduced by one of those people, and we were at this cafe, and we got on pretty well together. So that was amazing. And I thought it was on that night, but Marjorie tells me it was a couple of weeks later, maybe in the next night. But I said to her, look, I'm on a boat. I'm sailing around the world. If you want to go out with me, you're on the boat. You quit your job, you get rid of your apartment, you sell your furniture, you bring a very small suitcase and 1 teddy bear, and you get on my boat.
And that appealed?
I think it took her a little while. She's sitting next to me, she's laughing her head off. So she said to me, I've got to live with her in her apartment for 6 months. And I thought, oh, yeah, well, that's no worries. I'll spend most of the time on the boat. But then COVID came, and we were locked down in her apartment for 6 months looking at each other. So we survived that. So that was like being on a boat. So then she came on the boat, and we've been going out together for 5 years.
You're now married too.
Oh yeah, we got married. Yes, that was great. We got married in France.
Now, how has Marjorie adapted to life at sea? Because obviously this wasn't necessarily her life goal. So how is that working for the two of you?
Well, the beginning part was rather interesting because I took her out for a couple of day sails, and then we were going to do like a test sail, but a long one in the English Channel. And I was going to sail over to England, and I had 22 cases of French wine on the boat in the aft cabin, because you can wine in France is much cheaper than anywhere else in the world. So I had all these 22 boxes of wine. She was coming for the first couple of days, and then she was going to come back home. So we got about 3 or 4 hours off the coast, and the engine broke down. So I told her to move the 22 cases of wine out of the aft cabin so I could get into the engine. And she was, at this stage, thought she was going out with a lunatic, broken down in the middle of the ocean with ships rolling all around the place and a reef coming up on us really fast. It was pretty intense. If anybody knows the Alderney race, we were in there, which is a tidal race over rocks. We were very close to that, about a mile. If I didn't fix the boat, we would have been a few barnacles off the keel. So anyway, we got the 22 cases of wine out of off the engine, pulled the engine apart, got it working. So that was it, and then went back to Cherbourg. And the very next time that she came out on the boat, we did a passage from Cherbourg. This is non-stop because we were still in COVID. We had to escape from Cherbourg in the north of France to the Caribbean direct. That was the first time she was on the boat for any length of time, 37 days.
Goodness. She obviously loves it, though.
She loves the sailing. She doesn't love me. We're about a week before we arrived in the Caribbean, so we'd already done 30 days at sea. I planned on about 24 days, so we had good food for 24 days. So we were, a week into pretty cooked food. If you like eating spam, we've got plenty of it still. And a week before we got into the Caribbean, she said, "I'd like to stay out here for another week or two."
Oh, wonderful.
Just amazing. So I thought, wow, she's a keeper.
So do you guys, how long do you plan to do it? You've been doing it, Mark, for 17 years. Do you have now any other sort of life goals on the horizon, or is this just, let's just keep going day by day and we'll just see where it takes us?
Really great question. The boat and the life has evolved a little bit. So when I first got the boat, the goal was go cruise around the world. Well, I've done that. I've sailed around the world, done a circumnavigation. We are looking fairly soon for another boat, a little bit bigger boat, and we're going to do another circumnavigation with this one together. But what the change is that it's now not a sailing-based life, it's a tourism-based life. So the boat, we can sail wherever we want in the world. So a couple of years ago, we were in London, for instance. I love being in London, in St. Catherine's Dock for 6 months. And then sailed to the next place. We went over to New York, and we were in New York for 3 months. You can't afford accommodation for 6 months in London, and you cannot afford accommodation for 3 months in New York. So with the boat, we've got 2 bedrooms, we've got 2 bathrooms, and we've got a kitchen, and we've got a big freezer. And so we can eat on the boat. We can go to the supermarket in London or supermarket in New York and eat well there. So the thing has changed slightly in that it's really a tourism-backed thing, even though there's lots of sailing in it. So we're still into that for maybe at least the next 5 years, because, as I said, we are looking for another boat. But after that, we've been thinking things. When we're in the north of the United States a couple of months ago, we went up to Vermont to see the autumn colors on the leaves change, where they go from green to all these different colors. Absolutely fantastic. But we love the wildlife out there, and there's some remote wilderness areas that you can, if you can buy a little bit of land there, and you can have the bears come in, and you can have the deers come in, and chipmunks and squirrels and all of this sort of stuff. And I thought, well, that'd be really nice. But you could also, we're looking at some in France as well, and Australia. So if you look in the right place and it's not agricultural land, which is a very important point here. If it's non-agricultural land, because, it's up a mountain or something, it can be really quite cheap. So the prices on it can be really low. So that might be a thing that we do sometime. But also we just spent 3 months in a camping van in Vermont, and we spent 3 months 2 years ago in Australia in a camping van. It's just a wonderful way to see stuff. So whether it's on the boat or in a van or on our own plot of land or something. It's all about what we want to do.
So tell us, where in the world are you guys at the moment and where are you heading?
So we've just had a couple of weeks sailing down from the north of the USA, the Cape Hatteras area. North Carolina was the state, and we sailed straight down to St. Martin. Now, our last couple of months have been pretty busy. Okay, doing a lot of touristy stuff, but we also had the boat in a boatyard doing boat maintenance on it for a couple of months. So it's been pretty hard work. And then when we got down here, wanted to have a bit of a relax. And now we've sailed down just a half a day sail between St. Martin and St. Bart's. I'll tell you about St. Bart's in just a second, but halfway in between, there's a tiny little island. It's totally uninhabited. There's no buildings on it, no shops on it, no bars on it. The whole island is in a wedge shaped thing, a couple of 100 meters on each side. And inside the wedge, there's a tiny little beach about 100 meters long. We're anchored the closest into the beach. There's 5 boats here. Actually, just let me see, because one of the boats may have left. We think there's going to be, one boat's just going now. So there's 4 boats in here, a whole island all to ourselves. There's no trees on it. There's like all these different types. The biodiversity of grasses is unbelievable, and all these flowers. The snorkeling here is fabulous. And we're just having a week here, total chill out. We're not doing any tourism. We're not doing anything apart from snorkeling and walking on the beach, and then walking up. There's these 4 little volcanic plugs on this little island. We're going to walk up to each of them, and that is all we're doing. There's nothing.
You really are living the dream, the billionaire's dream.
A couple of miles in the other direction, where we're going to next after we leave here, is St. Bart's. And you may have heard of this. It's also called St. Bartholomew, is the correct pronunciation it's the correct name in French. Don't know about the pronunciation. Now, that's where all of the world's billionaires go at Christmas and New Year. And they all jump on their super yachts and go over there to St. Bart's, live up their Christmas and New Year's, a whole great cluster of billionaires. And it is really quite unbelievable. There's none there at the moment. I've checked them out. I can actually see electronically where all these super yachts are. But we've been here at Christmas a couple of times, and it is amazing. You can go star spotting on any of the streets or any of the beaches there. If you watch movies, you'll see the movie stars, because all the rich billionaires want a movie star on their boat at Christmas and New Year's. Sort of gives them credibility. So that is just a really weird joy. And then we're going down through the rest of the Caribbean islands. We'll be in Grenada in about a month or so, because it's the hurricane season coming on here.
But you are living the billionaire lifestyle, aren't you, on a beer budget?
On a fishing. And the funny thing about it, in St. Bart's, and when I say the billionaires go, the yacht crews are not allowed off the boats during Christmas and New Year, because they've got all the guests on and they've got to be all things. So all the yacht crews are on the boats, polishing and doing all that crap. All the billionaires are in town. There's one bar called Le Select. So before I tell you about Le Select, can I tell you, all the restaurants and bars in St. Bart's are really expensive. To spend $1,000 for dinner for 2 is not difficult at all. We haven't obviously. We eat on the boat. But there is one bar called Le Select, which is affordable. You know, your beers, your normal $4 or whatever. And everybody goes there. It's one affordable bar in the whole town. Everybody packs in there. Billionaires, non-billionaires, actors, non-actors. It's the funniest thing. And then there's this beach called Shell Beach, and you go there for free. It's not one of these ones covered with umbrellas. It's just a free beach. Go in there, sit out. And every other billionaire is trying to get on this beach. It's that famous. They've got to be there. They've got to be seen on Shell Beach. So it is the most amazing thing that you are being the billionaire lifestyle on absolutely not a billionaire's budget. But this is the thing about all around the world, wherever you are in the world, it doesn't matter if it's a city or an island or a sea or a continent or whatever, everything is so different. And we could be exploring it forever. And I don't think there's a difficulty about doing that.
So, for the person who's listening, who is just so envious of you right now, you and Marjorie, just thinking, I want this lifestyle, what's your advice for them?
Facilitate your goals by using a job to make your money, and don't waste the money. I'll tell you a story. I came back to Australia, didn't have accommodation, was staying with a friend for a few days, and she pulled out $100 note out of a wallet and said, go up to the pub and get 2 bottles of wine and make sure it's nothing under $40, because any bottle of wine under $40 is garbage. I had never bought a bottle of wine for $40. That was 1993. This is 2025. I have still not ever bought a bottle of wine which is $40. Now I never spend more than $10 on a bottle of wine, even now, 30 years later. So if you're using money as a facilitator to make your goal, and unless your goal is to become a wine expert, don't waste money on garbage. But if you've got your goal, I am going to sail around the world, or I am going to buy my own farm, or I am going to do this, then it's easy for you to say, why am I buying a $40 bottle of wine that's stopping me from sailing around the world?
That's really good advice, because I think so many of us, even just the magazines and all those things that add up. Do I need to be buying magazines if I want to be sailing the world?
Exactly. And a lot of the magazines and stuff online that you can download, all the forums and stuff like that, the whole goal setting thing is about each of us individually. My dream in my life is going to be totally different from everybody else. So it doesn't need to be sailing. Everybody's different. So when I'm saying you set your life goal, you got to do that. Now, sometimes people say, well, I don't have any. I mean, I'm just working. I've got another 40 years of work to do. I don't have it. And I say, well, go get bored. And then you might be able to figure out something which is about you. And they say, what do you mean by go get bored? When you don't watch TV and you don't read books and you don't read the media or anything, all of a sudden your own mind starts ticking over. Well, and did you know what a writer's retreat is, where they've got a little hut or a room or something they rent out to writers or artists where you don't do anything? You're just there with your typewriter.
I have a girlfriend who actually runs a writer's retreat, so I'm quite familiar with them.
Oh, right, great. Well, that would be a great place to be bored, because if you don't take a computer and you're not a writer, just go book a writer's retreat. It's just a room. You just got to sit there for a week, get really bored, and then your mind will start thinking about the pleasures of life. But the other thing is, you might not know what your one is, or you might think, oh, yeah, well, I've always sort of thought I wanted to do this. Now, as a boy of my age, when we grew up, we had all of these books still about World War II, and I always wanted to fly a plane. One day I thought, well, why don't we go fly a plane? And so I was living in Sydney as an actor or whatever I was doing there. And I went down to Camden Airport, which is a tiny little airport where there's no planes or anything. And they had a pilot school. And I said, I don't want to do the whole course, because the flying course is really expensive. I said, all I want to do is just take me up for 2 hours. I want to be able to fly the plane, teach me how to go left and right, teach me how to go up and down. I don't care about landing or taking off or anything. Those things are complicated, but I just want to go up and fly. And if I really like it, then I'll book in and do a course. Anyway, I went up and I learned to fly. In 2 hours, you learn to fly, up, down, left, right. But you're not learning all of the technical stuff. You're not learning all the administration or regulation. But after that 2 hours, I thought, hey, that's fun, that's cool, but it's not a big enough thing for me to want to go spend thousands of dollars on. And I mean, that's what you can do. If you get an idea after 7 days of boredom and you start plucking ideas out of your head of what you could do, we can go do a course, or you can go join the club, or you can go find a way of getting into it, just a little taste tester to see if you're going to like it.
I remember you sending me a photo of you in the plane all those years ago.
I'm very proud of that. Belinda, I've got an affirmation that I say. Can I tell you what it is?
I would love to hear your affirmation, Mark.
This affirmation changed my life. Everybody says, oh, you're living the life of luxury and enjoyment and doing exactly what you want to do. So I had to write this affirmation, because sometimes I'm not enjoying this. I'm not letting myself enjoy it all the time. Anybody who knows anything about boats knows that there's boat maintenance to do, which is pretty horrible. One of the problems is in the bathrooms, it's not like a toilet in a house. It's not like the lavatory that the pipe's really narrow and it clogs up.
Oh.
And so guess who's the person who's got to unplug it? We're lucky we have two bathrooms, put it that way. It's always at the inconvenient time. So anyway, now and again, you get into this position. I get into this position, I'm not enjoying myself. And so anyway, I was listening to a Scott Adams thing, and he said, write an affirmation about yourself, what you want to change. And say it every day out loud. So here's my affirmation. Today, I, Mark, will enjoy myself. I say that out loud every day. Today, I, Mark, will enjoy myself. And I do. I enjoy myself every single day. And any day that I'm not enjoying myself, I think, well, it's not midnight yet. Do something to enjoy yourself. Go enjoy yourself. Do something. So even though I've got to do the boat maintenance, I've got to unclog the lavatory pipes, I can still say, right, when that's finished, I'm going to enjoy myself. And I do every day. Now, that's a me thing. This is totally and utterly selfish. And people don't realize you need to be a bit selfish in your life. I'm not saying today, Marjorie and I will enjoy ourselves. I'm not saying that. I'm saying today, I, Mark, will enjoy myself. She's got to enjoy herself as well. Everybody's got to. You can't say, today the family will enjoy themselves. No, it's up to you to enjoy yourself. Other people, it's up to them to enjoy themselves. And I've been saying that affirmation to myself. Works really well. Works absolutely sweet.
Setting the intention, isn't it, for the day? Like you intend.
Yeah.
Like you said, after you've cleaned the toilet, that at some point you will enjoy yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely. Straight after this interview, I'm diving in over the side of the boat and going snorkeling on the beautiful coral here with the coral fishes. I'm going to enjoy myself. And then the rest of the day is just relaxing. I don't have to do anything. So it's good. Now, but I added another affirmation. So it's a different affirmation from that. So today, I, Mark, will enjoy myself is my affirmation. And then there's a second one that I say. Today, I will not do things I don't enjoy. Today, I will not do things that I don't enjoy. Okay, caveat on this one. Yes, I still got to clean out the bathroom. I still got to do the dishes. Still got to maintain the boat. We've still got our life stuff. But I'm not going to do things that I don't enjoy. Now, that means if something is going on, say if somebody says, come to a movie tonight. It's a really great movie. It's a horror movie. We're all going, all six of us. Well, I'm not going to enjoy it, A, because I don't like Frank and Tom, and I don't like horror movies and that. So what often we do is we go, okay, well, I'll go along and watch the movie. I'll be scared, but I won't tell anybody, and I'll try and have a big smile on my face, and I won't talk to Frank and Tom. So now I say, no, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to enjoy that. So I'm not going to go.
Oh, I love that so much.
I've only had to actually use it a couple of times, but I tell you what, the other night when I used it, it was bliss.
What a life. Mark, thank you so much for chatting with me. I
pleasure.
Absolutely have adored speaking with you.
And it's wonderful to talk to you. I mean, it's been quite a while. I will go and put on my fins and my mask and go cuddle up to some fish on the bottom of the Caribbean Sea.
Will you enjoy it? Well, what an inspiration. I got to say, when Mark set off in 2008, I don't think any of his friends, not me, that's for sure, thought that he would still be sailing the world in 2025. But it just goes to show that you don't need to win the lottery to win at life. So what is in your heart? If you were to swap your career goals for a life goal, what would you choose? Maybe it's time to write your dream life list, just as Mark did. And who knows, after a while, yours may also shift from being a wish list to suddenly becoming a to-do list. Can you imagine? What do you plan to do with the rest of your one precious life? Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please share it with your friends, give it 5 stars, and follow the series so you don't miss an episode. I'm Belinda Lee. This is Step Into Me, helping you find the courage to be true to yourself.